Greetings. Hello, everybody. Welcome again to our How to Land My Dream Job series. It's a webinar that's focusing on career development and workforce development. And I'm your special guest and host is Denise Parker, but we also have our speaker guest, which is Andrew Center. Welcome, Andrew. What are you
Hey,
going to be talking about?
so today, first off, I want to thank everybody for coming. We're going to dive into organizational culture, career growth, and leadership, and building a better future for everyone, most importantly, yourself.
I love it. Before you get started, can you just tell us just where you're from real quick?
Yeah, I can. Actually, I'm born and raised here in the Bay Area, kind of like I stated earlier. If you want to get into it, we can get into the deck. I have a whole slide kind of talking a little bit about myself and why I'm doing this, taking time out of my day and thank you all for being here as well. It's important
Let's
too.
go. Let's get into it then. Go ahead and share the
Okay.
screen.
All right, can everybody see? Okay, I just want to make sure everybody can see it here. So, well, again, I want to welcome you all. I'm excited for the session, actually. It's been a lot of work going into it for me. But I'm excited because this session is about you all who signed up, your growth, your success, and your future. Whether you're a high school student, you're a college graduate, a job seeker, or you're a professional and you're trying to look to grow, today's discussion is going to help you. I think it's going to help your path from leadership. It's going to help change your mindset and how you view organizational culture and how to use it as a tool for success. So with that, I'll talk a little bit about me. So who am I and why do I care? Well, my name is Andrew Center. Right now I'm on a mission, honestly. But not long ago, I was 375 pounds. I just been fired from a job I thought I retired from. I had no degree. I had no plan. I had no real hope. But I decided I wasn't done. I went back to school at 35. I'll be graduating next month with my bachelor's, heading off into getting my MBA here in the fall. I've lost over 100 pounds, raising a family, and starting a business that I'm doing all at the same time. So I don't share this information to try to impress anybody here. I share it to connect with everybody because I know what it's like to feel stuck, to wonder if your story's already written, to feel like it's too late for you. But in this process, I learned something very powerful, and that's that culture, especially your own personal culture, can change everything. So this is who I am, why I do this work. I didn't grow up with a game plan. I grew up in Oakland, California. Nobody handed me a blueprint. I had to build one from scratch after falling flat on my face. Now, I currently work in very high stress environments, factories, construction job sites, and with corporate teams where safety and leadership aren't just buzzwords, but they're like survival tools, honestly. And so, as far as for me, I'm the guy that teams call when culture is off. There's no trust in the team, communication's dead, nobody's kind of roaring in the same direction. So I don't just kind of talk about culture, I actually rebuild them. I rebuild them day to day with real people in real time and in real life. So now I use these things that I've learned throughout my life to try to help those learn for themselves and lead from wherever they are. So for me, going back to school in my 30s, it taught me discipline. Starting over gave me a vision. And being a father, raising the kids while doing it all, taught me about legacy and why it's important. So I'm not just here to kind of help you all learn how to land your dream job, but I'm here to help you learn how to build lives that you actually want to live. I'm not speaking from a mountaintop, as I told you. I'm still climbing myself. So I will get into what we'll cover today. So again, as Denise said, this isn't just a presentation, it's a conversation. But as we go through these slides, I want you to ask yourself a couple of questions. The first is how does this apply to me? And the second one is more important, is what action can I take today? And by the end of this session, you'll have a clear path forward. And that's whether you're navigating school, your career, or you're trying to step into leadership. Before we jump into all that, I want to give you a quick overview, though, of what we're going to cover today. Right. So this presentation is designed to walk you through the power of culture and how it impacts your environment, your mindset, and your ability to grow, both in your personal and professional life. So with that, we'll start with the role of organizational culture in success. We'll define what culture really is and how it shapes the environment around us. We'll touch on overcoming barriers to success, right? So whether it's doubt, lack of direction, or external challenges, we'll talk about how to push through them. Identifying skills and building a leadership mindset. This is about learning how to lead yourself and recognizing the strengths that already exist within you. Aligning your strengths and career growth. Once you know what you're good at, how do you apply it to your future? We'll walk through that as well. Standing out in the competitive job market, right? So with so many people chasing different opportunities, how do you set yourself apart? We'll cover practical ways to build your brand and your presence. Then we'll talk about creating a culture of success. Again, culture isn't just external. We're going to talk about how to create success in spaces that you already live and work in. Then we'll talk about taking immediate action, right? Like, so this isn't theory, right? I want to leave you with steps that you can take right away and start to implement today. And finally, we'll close out with some Q&A and final thoughts. It'll be a chance for us to reflect and hopefully leave inspired and ready to move forward. So, like Denise said, feel free to jump in wherever you have any questions or anything. Add them in the chat, raise your hand, and we'll make sure that we get to it.
I love it. We're getting excited. Everybody, thumbs up if you like the conversation so far. Thumbs up. Awesome. Keep going.
All right. So the first question I'm going to ask, right before we dive deeper into it, what is culture and why does it matter? So I've defined culture here for us as culture is the unspoken agreement. It's about how we treat people, how we show up, how we solve problems, and how we lead others. But these aren't always written down for us, right? They're felt. They show up in how we speak to one another, how we handle conflict, and how we show up when no one's watching, how we respond to adversity. So I got a question that if you guys could answer in the chat for me, right? So in one word, how would you describe the culture of the best team or group that you've been a part of? So you can think about whether it's been a school project, some sports teams, whether you're working already, or even in your friend group, how would you describe the culture, trying to use one word? Denise, do you see anything
I
popping up in your chat?
do. Caring,
Caring. That's a great word, right? That's a great thoughtful.
thoughtful, yes. Communication.
These are all great.
Active
Active.
listening,
Yeah.
These are all great.
openness.
Yes, these are what you want to see in the culture, right? This is a culture of growth, of ones that you feel welcomed in.
I'll add something. Hi, everyone. I'm the internships and careers coordinator. So I work with Denise. So one thing I will add is inclusivity.
Inclusivity, that's a great one.
I see emotional awareness there too. This is beautiful.
So that's another great one,
What
right?
I find too, also, Andrew, is that these words mean something to people personally. They're not just saying these words. It seems like this is important to them, or they expect it when they're going into a workplace.
100%. I feel the culture is going to bring out the best of you, right? It's going to touch to what you said. It's going to touch to you as a person, right? And that's going to keep driving and motivating all the individuals, all the different words, the thoughtfulness, the caring, the inclusive. People want to feel like they are a part of something, right? But in simple, culture is what shapes our behavior, right? So without needing to say a word, it sets the tone for how we operate in the group. If I feel included, when I heard inclusivity, I'm definitely going to, add something positive to that. Right? Culture is how we treat people. Are we respectful, inclusive, supportive? Culture is how we show up. Are we consistent? Are we committed? Can those around me rely on me, right? Your reliability. How we solve problems. Do we avoid them? Do we blame others, right? Or do we learn how to work through them and work through them together? These are all different things, right, that we use to kind of define our culture. And so next I'll give you some examples of how they show up in different places. So bear with me. My apologies. I don't know. Lost my place. So in the corporate teams, right, in the workplace, a strong culture can reduce turnover. People don't want to keep coming back to a place that has a bad culture. It can boost morale. It'll make people actually enjoy coming to work. And if you're in school, right, it keeps students engaged and helps teachers feel supported rather than burned out. I know many of my teachers in my family, I have a lot of instructors in my family who come home and feel burnt out. School at the end of the school year is coming up. How many teachers and our students are just ready for it all? When you have a good culture, you have certain teachers that students can't wait to get back to. I just had open house with my daughter, and her teacher had students from the previous years coming back. It speaks volume about the culture of that classroom, right? And so we want to make sure that that's happening. When you go down to sports teams, um, winning teams aren't skilled. They're united by mindset of accountability and shared goals, right? That's culture. You don't have to always be the best or the best or the fastest. It's the ones who can move together. That's the culture. In community, right? In our neighborhoods and our networks, culture gives us purpose and the support we need to manage life. A lot of times we got to lean on those around us, and it's the environment that helps us forge forward and keep on plowing through. And then the youth and teens, right? For young people, culture shape your identity. A strong culture builds your confidence, resilience, and your sense of direction. So in short, right, I want to remind everybody that culture is happening. It's all around us at all times, right? So, and it's shaping whether we are intentional about it or not. But the good news is that we can always work on it and shape it to be better. So we'll dive into the next slide here, and we're going to talk about barriers. Um, Man, barriers are a real thing for me. I want to say that the truth is everybody hits roadblocks, and what separates us is how we choose to view them, our mindset and the support system we have. Because as the slide says, right, success isn't about avoiding the challenges, it's about learning how to move through them and overcome them. And so a few places where we may see them is in school, right? If you ever felt unsure about what path to take after high school or college, man, just know you're not alone. The key is to use your strengths and your interests as a compass. You ask yourself, what am I good at? What lights me up? What makes me feel good while doing it? And from there, you can start exploring options instead of feeling stuck in indecision. In the workplace, right? You may be already working and you're hitting walls, right? A lack of leadership, not feeling seen, or unsure in which route to take for your own growth. In these cases, culture and leadership matter. So you can start by showing up in a presence, asking questions, and looking for ways to lead without a title. If you're on a team, right, whether you're in school, again, I'll go back to it, school team, sports, or work, no matter where you go, a strong team culture is going to have a success. When you think about sports teams, whether it be the Warriors of recent or the Patriots of the years past, they talk about what it's like to join these teams and how people automatically know how to acquiesce and show up, right? So with that, you know that in a good culture, you don't have to carry everything alone because a good team holds each other up. And a great culture is what makes that possible. And so for personal growth, right, some of the hardest barriers are internal. If you're feeling stuck, uninspired, or unsure, you start by leading yourself first. And what this means is holding yourself accountable, staying consistent, surrounding yourself with people and messages that support your growth. I got another question for you all here. You can drop in the chat. What is one barrier that you faced, either personally or professionally, that challenged your growth? Right? You can keep it simple as confidence, direction, opportunity. I can share for me my many of transitions that I've kind of listed out for you. It's imposter syndrome, feeling like I actually belong there is something that I've had to overcome. And so I continue to work at it. And I just know that I'm not the only one doing it. So, okay,
Have
I'm
a
pretty
wonderful, great one. Comfortability,
comfortability,
um, confidence, discipline,
discipline, and going to bed on time and waking up refreshed.
and
Michael, let me tell you,
That's
that is
incredible.
one that it's funny how it works, right? You're pulling from one bank already if you're going to bed late, and you're already, spending tomorrow's money. So I know that the struggle with that one.
And
And
being not sure, I like this. When you say you're not sure, it's also the stuff that you're dealing with internally. It's like there's so much stuff that you need to focus on to improve, those the success that you're striving for, and you don't know where to start. So being not sure is a question of that personal growth. Like, where do I start with myself? It's awesome.
awesome. And just know you're not alone in facing obstacles, right? The question is, it's not whether you'll face them, but how you respond when you do. And so we want to kind of help build that. And I think it's a great segue into this next slide, which is you're saying not sure, right? So if you're not sure, we'll talk about how to identify them, right? Understanding your strengths and how to use them to succeed, right? So we've talked about the challenges and how to overcome them. So now we got to talk about the next step in your growth, and that's with knowing yourself. Because when you know your strengths, it becomes easier to make decisions, take risks, and say yes to the right opportunities, right? Because a lot of people out here are struggling. And it's not because they don't have the skills, it's because we haven't taken the time to recognize them or even have the skill or the knowledge to know how to recognize what we can or can't do, right? So we can walk through a few questions that can help you get to clear knowledge and information about what makes you valuable and what you bring to the table, right? So a few questions you can ask yourself. What do I enjoy doing? What lights me up? What do I feel good while doing it? What activities makes me lose track of time? Right. So for me, right, those passions are often connected to purpose. Those are the things that we need to be doing over and over again, finding a way to do these things. What am I naturally good at? Are you a great communicator? Are you a problem solver? Are you creative? Are you analytical? Think about the things that come easy to you, right? If you go down to what do others compliment me on? Because sometimes we don't notice our strengths until someone can point them out to us. Think about what people thank you for or even ask you to help them with. Right? These are maybe some paths to take down. What problems do I love solving? Right? Because everybody has a problem, but can you help with that problem? And that's where your value comes in. So pay attention to the challenges that energize you. And that's often a clue about where you can grow and lead. Right? And what activities have helped me grow? So reflect on things that you've done in your past that have taught you different skills like leadership, teamwork, discipline, as Michael talked about, and maybe go back and revisit some of those things, right? So again, I'll go back. I got another chat question for you guys. I want to have you guys engaged here. Is what's something that people often compliment you on or thank you for, right? Let's drop these in the chat here. We can have a little conversation about it, right? Because again, these might reveal a strength that you didn't even know you had.
I think this is very interesting too, because most people, I want to say it in a general sense, when you ask that question, like, what do people compliment you on? Most people hear only the negative.
Mm,
And they kind of say, I don't know what people compliment me on because all I do is hear negative. So to lead with the positive is awesome. I see in the chat being supportive, kindness, your kindness, my kindness. I like how you said my kindness, not just kindness, your specific kindness.
definitely.
Strangers feel comfortable in conversating with you. So like when you're standing in the store in the line of the store, somebody just has a conversation with you. That's amazing.
That's amazing. That's a career in sales, Michael. Right?
Hmm. Organization and explaining things in clear
So
terms.
being able to relate to people or to speak in terms where somebody can understand what you're saying, conveying your thoughts, Regis is invaluable.
It's good.
There's some good ones here.
Hmm. Welcome.
Thank you. No, thank you. I do. I appreciate all of this. This is some great. These are the ways, right? So you start thinking about how you can like pivot some of these things that you're hearing and turn them into a career path, right? And identifying what it is that you want to do because these are things that you've been blessed with naturally to be able to take on and carry out. right? But in that, just know we're all here right now, and where we're here now, we don't have to have it all figured out. But when you begin to identify what your strengths are, you give yourself a starting point. And then from there, it's easier just to continue to build confidence and make decisions and take actions that's going to align with those goals and what you're good at.
You know what? Just real quick, as you're
Yeah.
talking on this subject, a lot of people have been on this kind of hamster wheel where they went to school, enrolled in college or some type of degree program or certificate program, and they're just on this hamster wheel. They never stop to ask these questions, like really ask these questions to figure out if this is what they want to do long term, or if it's just for a season, a means to get by or to level up. It's like sometimes you just keep going and then you look up and you're like 20 years down the line, I'm not happy with my decisions. I haven't found my space or my place where I can really cultivate my skills. So asking these questions now, it's never too late in the game, I would say. But these are great check-in questions. So if you guys want to screenshot these questions, this will be a great time to do it before we switch to another slide.
And I do want to, I'll skip ahead, but I will be, I have a workbook that I will be following up and emailing out to everybody that can help you dive more into this as well.
I love it. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you, Andrew.
All right, so if we're good here, we'll go on to the next slide. All right, so once you've identified your strengths, the next step is connecting them to your career. And the key is to match your strengths to career paths that excite you, right? Not just what you think you should do, but what genuinely excites you. Kind of what Denise was just saying, going down a path, not really sure of what it is that it works and aligns best with you, right? So when you're doing your work that aligns with your skills and your passion, you're more likely to thrive, stay motivated, and find meaning in what you do. So with that, let's kind of break down some of these things, right? Identifying your strengths. More questions for you. What do I bring to the table? Are you great at organizing, solving problems, connecting with people, working with your hands? Right? Once you know your strengths, you can start looking for roles or paths that need exactly what you offer. Right? And after you identified it, you can explore the different paths, right? Because again, there's more than one way to build a career. You don't have to go to a traditional 4-year degree, right? Maybe it's a certification, a trade school, apprenticeship. And if those don't kind of sit or suit you, go down the entrepreneur route, right? What matters is that the path that fits you and where you want to go. And then from there, you get industry insights, right? Once you've narrowed down your interests and you've done your research, what roles actually use the skills that you have? Then you compare that to what industries are growing, right? And this is where talking to professionals, watching videos, or even just shadowing, right? Job shadowing others can open your eyes to different and new opportunities. And if all those fails, create opportunities, right? Because a lot of times, opportunity you want that you're looking for that's tailor made just for you simply doesn't exist yet. So you can create it, right? That means freelancing, starting a small business, or even just volunteering, right? If you do find a place that you're passionate about, a space, and success is going to come to you because success comes from the initiative, right? You take the initiative, and success is going to find you. So again, I'll have another question for you. Maybe we can drive some engagement here with what's one career path, job, or even a field that you've thought about exploring, but you haven't yet, right? Let's get it out your head. Let's get it in the chat. Then we can start identifying some actions or something that we can take.
Ooh, lawyer. I love that. Amy, you spoke right away. Sports psychology. You're too old. No, you're never
Never too
shout it out. Shout it out. Shout it out. Catering business. It was a woman who just graduated from college at 90 years old. 90 years
never.
old. It made the news last week. Data analysts. Just getting out. Getting out wherever you want to be. Don't get trapped. I heard
Perfect.
that. Don't
Amy,
get trapped.
I'll tell you, Amy, like I said, I went back to school at 35. At 40, I'll have my MBA. You're never too late.
Never too late. As long as you're living and breathing and you have the will to learn something new, It's, it could be something simple like gardening. You want to pick up gardening
That's it.
or a new language. Project management for historical businesses.
Oh man, that sounds great.
That's right. It's that non-lack mindset. Even if you
Start small.
start small,
Remember,
investing small. Even coming to events like this is starting your journey. So know that there's a win coming to this actual webinar. It's a win for you because now you're holding yourself to that journey. You're staying on that path.
that's it. This whole webinar came about from me going with my son to a college expo, right? It just takes action.
Yep. Yep. It does. Meeting people and taking action. And I was able to engage with Andrew about just wanting him to do more. And he said he just wanted to do more. And I said, well, let me figure it out. And I had a platform already for him to go.
And
There's
then
opportunities for everybody to start this journey.
that's it, right? And it's literally doing the things that we're talking about today, right? Identifying the strengths that I have in talking and connecting, and my passion is this, right? And then again, as I said on the last slide, you take that first step, and the people will find you. She found me. We found each other, right? And who knows what's to come from that first step. So I don't want to belabor this, but I do want to reiterate again, don't follow a path you hate just because it looks stable, right? Make sure that the path is for you. But doing the work, taking the time to ask yourself these questions and being honest with yourself is going to help you get there. So we'll go to the next one. All right. So at this point, we've talked about identifying your strengths, aligning them with your career growth, right? But we also have to be real. Having talent and knowing what you want isn't always enough, right? In today's job market is extremely competitive, and there's many people applying for the same jobs, same opportunities, trying to get into the same schools. You have to find ways to stand out, right? And again, that doesn't come from talent or luck. It comes from the mindset that you have when you approach them. It comes from the environment, the places and the people you place yourself around. It comes from the actions that you take. Right. And so here's a couple of things that you can do that, again, these are all steps that I've done to help position myself for success. Right. So you build transferable skills. Right. These are skills that go with you no matter what industry you're in. Things like leadership, communication, problem solving, and adaptability. Right. These are the things that we talked about that made people feel good in the cultures that they were in, right? And so you may build these through work, school, or just different life experiences, but just make sure that you are aware of them and you know how to talk about them. And that's another way you can stand out, right? You can leverage mentorship. Find somebody who's been where you want to go. This can be a teacher, a coach, supervisor, or even somebody online, right? Understand that mentorship isn't just about guidance. It's about expanding your perspective, expanding your network, right? Develop a strong personal brand. You don't have to have a huge following. It just means being intentional about how you show up, especially online. Use social media to showcase your strengths. Let people see what you're passionate about and what value you bring. The last one is gain experience, right? This is huge. Get in the game, volunteer, take on internships, freelance, or just build something of your own. Even if it's not your dream job yet, it's giving you the reps you need, building your resume, and helping you grow. These are different things you can do to kind of help, stand out in the competitive job market, skill market, whatever it is you're trying to go to school, right? So with that, I want to ask you guys in the chat, what's one skill you love to strengthen this year? I'd rather be leadership, communication, problem solving, working with tech, time management, right? Just throwing a bunch out there for you. Please feel free to drop it down in there. Let's see and I'll talk about my own, the skill that I'm working on is being even more better with my time management as I have a very complex life with kids and a wife and moving parts.
I love that. We have time management, where to start.
Right.
That's a really
That's a
good
good one. That's a
one,
good one.
where to start. Um, One thing about mentors too, just a little you guys are going to have various mentors throughout the course of your life. You're not going to just have one. One mentor is not a one size fits all. You have mentors for those people who are new parents. That might be a mentor that you'll find who's also a parent who's already been there, done that, that has a 5 or 6 or 7 or 10-year-old, and they've already journeyed through the first stages of the first 5 years. Same thing, a person who's in your job, in your workplace. There might be a person who can relate to the existing role that you're in and leveled up. Or it could be somebody going to school for the first time and you're talking to a senior in the upperclassman in the institution, and they're relating to you and saying, hey, I was right there, homesick, away from home, not feeling like I can get through my first year without my family and my friends around me, or I can't survive. So just know that mentors are going to come throughout your life, and they may not be for a long period of time. They might be seasonal, but the intention is still there. Use every person you meet as an opportunity to have a possible mentor. You never know. It could be a younger person too.
Yes, man, you
There's
took the words right from them.
so much they can teach, they can mentor you in how to understand their world. Okay. And it really humbles us to understand how to communicate to younger people. Um, so we also have another one saying, representing myself, building my own brand, and self-advocacy. That is so important in the workplace, is advocating for yourself and learning how to do that without interfering with your growth, feeling like you're, too bossy or something, Agree with time management, growing data analytical skills. I love that. This is very technical.
Yes. Well, really quickly, I want to go back to Amy when she said, she asked, when lacking money, how'd you start? Uh, I would tell her a trick that I did was I went to LinkedIn and I saw some jobs. And I used those jobs as a roadmap to get to where I wanted to go. I looked at the qualifications. And then I kind of just searched those qualifications and found out ways to do them. One thing of my blessings that I do have is I'm very resourceful. So in that, if you're willing to find something, one thing I love about being in America, there's a map on how to do anything you want to do, and being resourceful will pay off in dividends. And if you want, we can reach out offline, Amy, and I can go a little further about the things that I've done.
I love that. That roadmap is the key to success. You can do that with anything. If you want to know how to do something specific, you look at somebody who's done it before or a job posting of it, and look at those qualifications and those requirements and use that as a roadmap. And it will help you get through school as opposed to just looking like the blind leading the blind. And it will also help you discover if this is something you really want to do. A lot of people say they want to be doctors and lawyers, but don't
Hmm.
law books, don't know the laws in their own land. So if you want to start with something that you're interested in, like public speaking is an example, being a lawyer was an example, building their communication skills, just start. Just start. Pick up a law book, go to the library and just read the laws. Um, Public speaking, every opportunity you get a chance when somebody asks you a question, raise your hand and answer it out loud.
Do it. Just do it.
Just
Come.
do it. Even if you're just wanting to say, could you repeat the question? Just to get your fear out of it, just use little things to get you there. And every time you do it, celebrate with a win. Like, I did that. Oh, that's cool. I did that.
That is actually one of the things that I've been working on myself, is giving myself the pat on the back. Like, hey, you did a good job, right? I'm always been pushing forward. You got to take time to give yourself some appreciation as well. But yeah, so one of the things before we move on to the next slide is I want to reiterate to you, you don't always have to be the loudest person in the room or the most experienced person. But when you do show up, make sure you show up purposefully, with intention, with clarity, knowing what you want, and effort, giving your effort. And that's how you stand out, right? Because everyone has potential, but what's going to set you apart is how you show up. So now we'll talk about what it really means to create a culture of success, right? Success isn't about being lucky, right? It doesn't apply to companies. It doesn't apply to teams. It applies to you all, right? To me, as individuals, because success isn't a one-time event, and it's not about being in the right place at the right time. As the quote says, right? It's about daily actions, not luck, right? So some habits and mindsets are the really the way and the path to create the culture of success. Right. So again, here are a few that you can do. You can solve problems, right? Don't wait for others' solutions and to provide them for you, right? Because people who stand out are the ones who take initiative. And if you see something that needs to be fixed, try to fix it. Don't wait to be told. This is what separates leaders from followers. Building strong relationships. I'm sure everybody's here has heard the phrase of your network determines your net worth. It's true. The people around you can open doors, offer guidance, and challenge you to grow. Nurture those connections, right? Online and in real life, right? Let's also be aware we have to show up in real life as much as we do online. The biggest thing that you can do is stay consistent, right? It's compounded interest over time, right? One of the most underrated keys to success is just showing up. You show up every day, right? You show up when it's not flashy, you flow up when it's not fun. It's not about being perfect, it's just about being present and dependable. Like that is the steps. This is how we start to create that culture of success. So again, in the chat, if you can you tell can you tell me what is one daily habit that helps you stay focused, grounded, on track? One thing that I personally do every day is I have a mantra, like affirmations that I say, and in those that keeps me back focused on what I do. When I feel myself viewing away from it, I go right back to it. It's actually on my screensaver on my phone, and I have it there, and that helps me stay focused and locked in. Anybody have anything that they do to kind of help them stay grounded on track?
I think one of the things that I do is like when it's really hard and everything is just challenging around you where you're having these tough days and you have tough days where things are not going your way, I realize I need to take time just more for myself. So I literally stop doing it and I can't do anymore. I just stop what I'm doing and I say, I'm just going to just do something for myself because I can't change the outcomes of the day anymore. I just can't make it any better. I can make myself better. I can just take time for myself. I love that. Reading from an actual book each day keeps my concentration sharper. Yes, Michael. Journaling helps me, and midday walks around the neighborhood resets my mind. Yes, it does. We're the
Connecting with nature is the
whoa, that
key.
is so important. um Grounding, if you guys go out and take off your shoes and get into grass and and stand in real nature with the grass underneath your feet, that's really good for you.
And socks, shoes and socks. You got to bare feet, let your feet kind of, like you said, ground yourself.
Ground yourself, feel the ground. Even going to the beach if you're near some type of water or some type of ocean or lake or something. I doodle for about 10 minutes. It helps me clear my mind. Yes, it does. These little childish things that people say, oh, that's a childish thing. It's not childish. That's why kids are so creative and they believe they can do anything, is because they really do take time for themselves and they do creative things all the time. So go back to your child, like, what did you like to do? Did you like to read? It could even be reading comic books just to kind of like get your mind. I remember listening to a podcast of a guy talking about he was told he couldn't walk again, but he kept reading about the Avengers and Iron Man and stuff like that, and he believed that he can walk based on that, and he 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 learned how to walk again just because he kept believing in it. He used anything to motivate him. I like to have a theme song. Come on now, you having a bad day or you have to go up against, I mean, you look at all these athletes before they see them go on the court or on the field, they always have their headphones on because they're getting their mind right so they can face their challenge, the obstacles, which is, playing, that game. So get your theme song. When you're having a bad day, turn it up.
These are all good things. I want to leave on this slide with Um, that if you want success to last, it has to be built on habits, right? Relationships, consistent action day in and day out, right? Success comes from routine, right? It's not a result. So with that, we'll go into, here we go, taking immediate action. So we've talked about culture, we've talked about mindset, we talked about career growth. This slide here, I want to shift from learning to doing, right? Because action creates momentum, and the momentum is going to keep you propelling forward, right? And even small steps, if they're taken consistently, can completely change your direction. And too often, we wait, right? We're waiting for the perfect time. We're waiting for the right opportunity. We're waiting for somebody to give us permission. And if this slide is about, it's not waiting, right? So here are three. Amy, we talked about different things that we could do. Here are three actions we can do this week. We can get going, right? We can set one career or leadership goal for the month, right? As this month is ending and we're heading into June. Heading into June, what is one thing that I want to do this month? It doesn't have to be massive. It could be something simple as updating your resume, reading a book on leadership, applying to a job, improving a soft skill, getting on the internet. LinkedIn Learning has free classes you can do to get you some skills, right? But just make sure it's intentional and it's measurable, right? We got one goal for the month. Another thing you can do is you can connect with a mentor or an industry professional, somebody that's doing what you're already wanting to do. Let's go back. This could be reaching out to somebody on LinkedIn, emailing somebody, sending a DM to somebody. You want to build your personal brand. You see somebody who's doing exactly what you want to do, put yourself out there, send that email, right? You ask for guidance, right? Because that mentor can open a door, but it's on you to start the conversation. Finding an internship, a volunteer opportunity, or some kind of project that you can do to try to gain some experience. Experience is what gives you the story to tell, right? They're going to put you in an environment where you can learn the lessons and gain the skills. And then from there, you can start to sharpen those skills and build on those lessons that you've learned. And if you can't find something formal, create something small for yourself, right? No matter what you do, just start from where you are, and then you can keep on going. I have another question for you guys, right? Of these three actions, which one can you commit to get going to start the ball rolling this week on, right? So I would like to see if you could type that number in the chat. And if you're bold enough, let's hear what the action is going to be that you want to take to start doing something this week.
Number 3, find an internship, volunteer opportunity, or project to gain experience. Thank you, Kingston.
Oh, that's a great one, Kingston.
Number 1, set one career path and goal for this month. I love it. And
Good. Head into the summertime, right, with some goals to attack and then keep that momentum flowing. I like that one.
number 2 is connecting with a mentor industry professional. I'm going to update my resume and LinkedIn profile by June 30th. I love it. Setting a deadline or
Deadline.
timeline is a matter of fact.
That's it. We talk about SMART goals, right? I talk about smarter goals, which is you have to actually set what the goal is. Then you have to make it measurable, make it achievable, make it something that's like real, relatable. Then give yourself the time in which you do it. If you don't have yourself to a time deadline, that'll just sit there in the abyss until you actually get to it. And I like to actually set smarter goals, and the ER is to evaluate, right? Those goals and see how am I doing? Am I knocking those goals down? And then the R is be to restructure. After I evaluate what I have going on, I may need to restructure my plan and my path forward, right? But again, having that time is everything. Making sure you put the date by is a major one.
A lot of people look at what they see on social media and they see the end goal. People are successful, they're living their dream life, career, home, family, vacation, they're living it up. They don't show you the process all the time. The
Oh,
process is the most important thing. Going back to what you said, Andrew, about the evaluation and then the restructuring of the goals. It's not perfection you're looking for. It's the progress every day. Are you getting up and making your bed, washing your face, taking a walk? Those little simple things, even when you don't feel like it's like, okay, today was a jammy jam day, but tomorrow I'm going to get up and I'm going to do something to get out the house so that I can stay motivated. Or you did too much and you need a rest. I'm going to shut myself down. These can be simple things to keep you on track so that you will not lose any of these immediate actions as far as your goal path. I see Michael said career goal equals finish and share the calendar on my job deadlines with the team for them to use as a template. Oh, okay.
I love that.
I love it. We're helping each other. This is a journey. Like we're trying to support each other. We're all trying to get there.
100%.
All trying.
Um, so I want to say that again, success doesn't start someday. It starts with the first move, right? You can't play the game until you move. So if you can pick one of these actions, right, and get on it this week, even if you don't feel 100% ready, action builds clarity and clarity builds confidence. So a lot of people are waiting to feel ready, but that real momentum comes from the action, not emotion, right? If you move first, I promise you the motivation to show up.
And I can even challenge you even just a little bit more on the details of it. So, for example, the internship opportunities and the volunteer opportunities. Say, for instance, let's go back to the lawyer. You want to be a lawyer. List out all the law firms in the area that you can get to within a 10 to 15-mile radius that is close to your home or workplace that you know you can work there, whether it's a small or big, large law firm. Identify what services they provide, see what they do, look at their website, see if they're hiring or and then make a phone call, just a meet and greet. Just say, hello, I'm interested in volunteering or, working in this particular space. And I want to know if you have any internships or any opportunities where there's volunteering or to clerk or do anything. Ask the question. What's the worst thing can happen? They can tell you, go to my website, or no, we're not hiring. No, we don't have any opportunities. Or they might ask a follow-up question. Are you currently in law school? Like what's going on? Can you send us your resume? Just be prepared to answer back with, if they have a question to answer back, be prepared. Just be prepared.
That's it. The only thing that beats failure is a try. All right. So with that being said, we have about 10 minutes left. And I got to the last slide, right? This quote here was a big one for me throughout my journey. It has been now, right? And it's the difference between where we are and where we want to be are the actions we take today, right? So you don't need a perfect plan. You don't need permission. You just need to move with purpose, identify what you want to do and go after it. Right. So for everybody who's here, who's taking the time out of the day to be here, first and foremost, I thank you. But I want to remind you that this is, again, you take action. This is the first step. So now this is your season, right? To build, because this is your foundation. So start building now, build better and build boldly. Don't let the limitations, like Denise said earlier about doodling and being childlike, don't let your mind limit you to what you can do. All right, so remember that anything you'll face, there'll be barriers. Don't look for a workaround, look for a work through. So, with that, if there's any other questions about career growth, leadership, or navigating your next step, or just want to, open it up for chat, I'm more than available.
Yes, for those who want to ask a question, this is your opportunity. Please ask a question out loud, especially if you want to be a public speaker. Who said my public speaker in the building? This is your opportunity. Don't be afraid.
Be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Lanisha Brown, and I have a question about branding myself. I've been fortunate to have a lot of experience with several hardships, and now I've turned that into my testimony, and I pay it forward. I give back. I live a beautiful life, and I can actually do that as a career. I have a passion to do that as a career. And a lot of times I'm advocating and I'm representing other companies, other organizations, and I'm interested in doing that for myself now. What would be your advice on branding? Because I don't know how to start a business. I don't know, like all the things that I don't know, I just rely on Google to try to go and
Yeah.
find.
Oh, that's
So what
good.
would be your recommendation?
That's a good start. Well, let me say this about the companies that you branded with. They have a mission, a mindset, a culture that they wanted that you kind of branded for them or however you did that. Look at yourself as a company. That's number one. What is your mission? What do you bring value to? Like identify those things, just kind of how like these this presentation that Andrew is sharing, like who are you? What have you brought to the table in your life experience that can be shared? And then what's your testimony? Like you said, you have a wonderful testimony that you came out of something. And what is it about that testimony that relates to others? Like what has other people said to you about that? You know, the more you identify those things, it's kind of like, okay, maybe this is my brand. And it might be several different versions of that. It might not be just one thing. Does that make sense?
And Lanisha, I want to add something to that, right? I'm gonna go back to the slides. Finding somebody who's forged that path before you. If you see somebody who's done the things that you want to do, who's branded themselves in a manner in which you like, reach out. As Denise said, call that lawyer. You know, what's the worst that could happen? You start to, and in that, you'll find a path, and you'll be surprised at how many people are actually wanting and willing to help you, right? But you have to take the initiative to do that, right? And even with this, like I'm in the early stages of starting my own company, right? A consulting agency. But if you look behind me, I have this here. This is something I'm bringing to fruition, right? Synergy Solution. So in that, start branding yourself, start putting yourself out there. When you're representing and somebody else is asking you to represent your brand, bring your brand to their brand, and now they meet.
Mm-hmm. The key thing.
Yes, this is great. I've been taking notes. I hear both of you. For me, it's that like because I've never had a business before, I never started a business, and I've like survived human sex trafficking and a bunch of other stuff. So it is a lot of different fields. But just of like where do I go to get a name? Where do I go to make myself official, to come up with a business? All that stuff, I don't
Well,
know how to do that.
Oh,
well,
so her
that right
actionable
there is
steps,
the most
her
simple.
basically
That is
her actionable steps.
I hear you. That is the most simplest part, actually. It's just figuring out what kind of name that you're going to have and you know how that's going to like resonate with others. The key thing is first do a Google search to see if you're jotting down a whole bunch of names about what you're going to call your business or your consulting company, like identify what it is. What's your niche? Okay, when I say niche is like what are you going to be known as? That's why we're saying answer all these questions for yourself so that you're just not all over the place. Then once you figure out what your name is going to be, you want to Google that name and see if any other companies have that name because you don't want to be tied to any other associations, so to speak, you know? Because if you say like, for example, Nike is a big, you know, footwear or apparel company, a sports apparel company, you don't want to say Nike Black. You can't associate with Nike if you just because you want to call it black at the end. You don't want to associate with any known brands or even small brands because it can be liabilities against that.
Okay.
And then you want to research that. You can also look at search engines also such as GoDaddy and see if their domains are taken if you're going to have a website or something of that nature. Those are just examples. And then your city and your state has official rules of engagement of how you start a business. And so if you go to the sba.gov,
Yes, this part. Okay. Okay.
yeah. If you go to the sba.gov, that's an actual federal website, and you can say, I want to start a business. And, you know, and the SBA will literally tell you each step. Do I need to set up a LLC or a S Corp or all this stuff? You don't need to know any of that stuff right now, just information. Sometimes it's just finding out the information, and sometimes we do too much too soon and we haven't did the necessary steps. So my suggestion is to look up on the sba.gov and you will literally go piece by piece, and it will tell you how to set up your business based on your city, your state, all the necessary things.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much.
One thing I want to add to that,
Yeah, I was
Okay.
about to add to it too.
is to go back again. These slides will help you identify so much of what it is that you want to do, where you want to go, and then the how will be the easiest part, because that's, as Denise just laid out, that's easily identifiable in information, right? But what's not is the whys and the yous.
The need.
Okay, because I'm doing the work now, but again, I just wanted to rebrand myself, or brand myself, should I say, in a way of, like, I do public speaking and things like that already for fundraising and for different stories and that I go and share. And some of them, they even pay me, but they pay me as like I can be a corporation or have my own business. I have to fill out the 1099s and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, hey, I can actually legit start my own business
Your
and brand
1099
myself.
your 1099 can be tied to an LLC or sole prop. It just depends on how you set it up, but it's based on what your needs are now. So you don't
Okay.
want things that's why I say go to the sba.gov, and it will outline the different entities and why it's important, or why you should or you shouldn't. You might need to get some emissions and some E&O insurance, which is, protecting you from when you go out and speak and stuff like that. And people said you suggested
Okay.
might need specialty insurance. You got to look up all those things, then you can talk to like a business development person.
Nice.
I think my assistant coordinator, Bianca, did you have something to add?
Oh, I was just gonna tell her, if you're in the process and you're ready to start your business, all you do have to do is go to your state website. Like Denise was saying, you can go directly to your state website. And like she said, it does bring you through all the steps. But when you get on the website, it'll tell you exactly if the name that you came up with, if another person has it in your state. You can also consider registering your business in another state if you understand taxes and what that looks like, because some states don't make you pay taxes versus other states you pay less taxes. You can look at those things too, but you can literally start and create your business right now if you're doing it. The LLC is simple. It protects you as an individual from your business. If you want to set up an LLC, you can. S corps and C corps are for growing companies. If you want to make your company bigger, then you will go the S corp, C corp route. But the LLC is easy to start. It only literally takes a few minutes. Your EIN is free. To go on the website and do that. So like she said, once you go to the website, it tells you exactly. You don't have to go to a separate search engine to look for the name. Once you put it in your state website, it'll tell you whether someone else has your name once you search it within your state. And then it'll take you through the process one by one by one. But another thing I will say is, when you're creating your business, one of the biggest things for me is identifying your target market.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing, because that's where you're going to get all your customers, all the people who want to be involved in what you're doing. Your target market. Who are you targeting? Who do you want to, who wants to hear you speak? Who can relate to you? That's a big thing. So that's something that you definitely need to figure out.
Niche that I was referring to. That's your niche.
Okay.
That's who it is. And the more you continue to do this, the more you're going to understand that. But you know what? Leave your information in the chat to me directly. And then, me and my team can reach out to you and help you a little bit more. Amy, did you have a question?
Thank you all.
Welcome, sweetie. Amy, did you have a question?
I kind of did, but Lanisha was very intuitive, and I kind of thought maybe that I should start a business, because I found out from all my careers, which I've worn many different hats, like most of us, I believe, out there, and not too many people have held a job for 40 years like our parents did, for the olden days, if you will. So I don't know. I don't want to be, I found out for myself, I've done a lot of soul searching. I don't want to be in a job. I don't want to be at a place for 8 hours sitting on my butt. I want to do stuff where I can interact with clients and do the administration work. So I don't know what to do. That's why I was saying where to start. I've been doing all Indeed stuff, and I love that you guys do this because it's a nice reminder, but I'm still not where I want to be. And I said, I'm too old. I'm half a century old and I still haven't found my career. Again, I've had one. I was a massage therapist for years and I loved it, but my body's too old now and I fell down a flight of stairs. I'm getting too much into my story, but I wanted to tell you that I just don't know where I want to be now. And
Okay, well,
getting that
let me
start.
say this. Let me give you like take a deep breath because there's so many people in your shoes who have worked a job for X amount of years and they look around and say, this is not it. This is not where I want to be. I have interviewed so many people in that space. Like before I got into this type of work specifically, I was doing interviews with people to figure out how I was going to figure out my pathway. And when I sat across the room from executives and leaders and, you know, professionals of all walks of social economical background, it was from wealthy to low, whatever, they just making ends meet. They all said this is not it. They said they got more as long they want to learn more, they want to go back to school, or there's always something, there's always a goal that you're gonna have. Because even when you make it, you're still gonna be like, is this it? I have more to do.
Right.
So number one, just give yourself the grace to know that you are okay. That right there is desire to want you to figure out it. That is it. That's you saying, I need to figure this out. And then make a list of 5 different things that you're really interested in doing that you'd never had the courage to go after. It could be anything from just, like I said, gardening
Mhm.
or traveling in places and meeting new people. Make it like really, really like very just like, I know I want to do this and I just haven't put it down on my list because I've been afraid that I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time, and whatever that negative that's coming up, that's the thing you need to put down.
Okay.
If it's negative and you're saying I don't have enough time, I'm putting that thing down. That's the thing I'm going to put down.
Okay.
Because that's the thing you probably had 20 years ago before you got into this, whatever this thing is that you're doing now. And you're like, wait a minute. And now you're going to research after that. How can you start reading about it more? Because industries have changed over decades. Maybe they have virtual classes, or maybe they have a book I can read or a podcast I can join just to learn about the industry where it's moving today.
Right.
There's little things to just get the wheels turning, because somebody's path of how they got there is not necessarily going to be always your same exact story, but it might get the wheels turning like, okay, so and so did this and she did it like this. Oh, this is amazing. Okay. Oh, but I want to do that now. I saw how she took that, but I want to go here. So sometimes it's just relating to another person who's been there, maybe talking, like Andrew said, find that mentor, find that industry professional who has done something you're really interested in doing, and ask them a question. How did you get started? The thing that you want to do. How did you get started doing that right there that I want to do? I want to do that. How did you get started?
Okay.
Do you know exactly some of those 5? Like I said, name 5 things. Do you have on the top of your head, like the first thing that comes to your heart? Like, what are some of the things that you want to do?
Helping the youth and with the law, helping the youth with the law.
What specifically with the law? I'm very curious about that.
Kids that get, in the wrong way and they get ended up don't have parents anymore and they rebel, or, they didn't have good parents. Like, a lot of people I know, myself included, had narcissistic parents, yada, yada, insert, action there. So that's the first thing that came to my head.
Okay. Andrew, do you want to add to this? Because I can go back and forth all day and I want to make sure
I want to tell her, I'm gonna lean on some of the information you gave earlier. Um, Pick up the phone. She said, call a lawyer. There's many of programs across this country that you can pick up and say, hey, I want to get involved.
I want to get
Can you
involved.
be a little more specific, like programs like for the youth?
Or whatever. So you say for the youth, right?
Okay.
There's halfway houses that you can call the juvenile courts
Right.
programs that
Okay.
you guys have
Right.
that help the youth.
Mhm.
Right? You can pick up that and they'll give you a list. And I guarantee you, if they may not be hiring, every single one of these programs are always accepting volunteers.
Look at organizations that are, what city are you in? Do you mind me asking?
San Diego proper.
Okay. you're really close to where there's a lot of juvenile court issues,
Yeah,
especially.
the courthouse is right downtown from me.
Yep. Okay. There's so many ways you can get involved. When you're dealing with anything that has to do with the law and courts, they're going to do an extensive background check on anybody who's going to volunteer. Be open and honest about your background and tell them your why. Because a lot of times talking to youth can only land if you can relate to them through your story. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely, because I have all this education and peer support and community health worker, which I can't land a job for. So
Well,
I'm damned if I
you're
do, damned if I don't.
you're looking at it from a different perspective, okay? You're trying to land a job to have a means to transition to an end. I get that. But you have a passion to helping certain people.
Yes.
Maybe you need to start with your passion first because you already have the background, the
Technical background, you have that.
technical background. You just need to open up, you need to knock on the right door to say, hey, can I volunteer over here until they
Knock at the right door.
oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Just those volunteering, it's showing up every day. That's gonna, when a job opportunity opens up, they're gonna say, "Hey, Amy's been here. Amy's qualified. We know Amy. Amy fits our culture. Let's bring Amy in."
And a lot of times people hire within, they post the job. I'll be very honest. They post the job, but they're hiring in a vertical. They just have to post it, but they're saying, okay, we're going to fill this position. I don't want to train nobody else. This person's already working for a company. So we posted the job because legally we have to do that.
Right.
But we already hired, the job's already filled. And it's not that they're not saying you have to get in somewhere. So volunteering, if you want to work in a hospital, for example, sometimes it's hard to get into a hospital system. You literally need to volunteer to do it. And then they're like, oh, okay. What else do you do? We actually looking for somebody right now. You fit the profile. This is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody wrote in the chat. Let's see. What did they write in the chat? They wrote a lot of stuff in the chat. Can you read that? It's all the way at the top. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Lanisha. You sent me something direct. Thank you.
Yes, that's me. Sorry.
I was like, you sent me I love it. Thank you. Amazing. And I love it. I love this conversation is so important. When Andrew, when you approached me about having this conversation about culture in the workplace, I said, let's have it, because most people think that culture is about black and white and my hair and all this other stuff. That's not the culture. The culture is your skills and the organization and how the organization flows with who you are, And you have to understand first who you are before you even go into a company.
That is the main thing. If you're like I told you, I was fired from a job that I thought I retired from, but it was the biggest blessing because it forced me to go down this path here and discover it for myself. So you have to realize the culture of yourself, because the culture of you shows up everywhere you go, not just at work, not just at home, not just at your friends. Who you are, it shows up everywhere you go. So you have to make sure that that is correct. And then it's a lot easier to identify if the places that you go aligns with who you are.
Yes.
So Amy, just to go back to you and to get you started, and I know, did you give Andrew your send us both your information like in the chat. I want you to make a list of different organizations that support youth to keep them from going into the systems. You know, like they're trying to stop that pipeline, the school to prison pipeline, that type of thing. Look at that and know that it's probably going to be, you're going to be working, like, you're going to be like, this is going to be hard. You might have to maintain, of course, your 9-to-5 job just to kind of keep your ends meeting. But as you're trying to figure it out and, meeting the necessary organizations and the people within the organizations, you lean in and say, you know what, here's my background. I've already been there and done that, but I also got some degrees to back it up, some certifications to back it up so that I can actually show that this is where I want it to be.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you have a skill, a professional skill, like you said, massage therapy.
Yes.
You have a skill. Okay. you might be able to teach others that skill, to learn how to calm down and take their aggression, their fight to flight kind of response into like, okay, let me show you how to process this differently. You know, you can use some of those therapeutic skills you have to
Right.
also give some value to like sharing with young people. Like, you know, you got to learn how, you got to develop yourself a little bit more. You got to take care of yourself. Here's some of the things that you can do. Here's some
Okay.
pressure points you can hit to calm yourself down and you know, deep breathe. If you have pain in your neck or your shoulder or something like that, and you have a lot of headaches, you know, you're dealing with a lot of trauma, maybe you need to deal with that because the pain, you know, like you can relate it to some certain things. Like you can teach classes on that, how to relieve pain, how to have pain management without, you know, doping up or, you know, going into something that's extreme, you know?
Right.
Think creatively all the things you can bring to the table and don't like I can do this, I can do that. Go to the companies, go to the organization and see what they need first.
Oh, man.
See what they need first. And then you just sit there and listen because it took me a while. This is why I developed this How to Land My Dream Job. I listened to you. I listened to the audience. The audience was
Right.
coming back saying, ask me all these questions. I was like, you know what? I need to create something where it answers all the questions. And this is how this got developed.
Definitely.
Right.
But what she said was another, again, she's been dropping gems on you guys. Ask, what do you need, right? More people are more, they're inclined to open the door if you can help them, right? Don't come and say
Right.
don't lead with the help you need, lead with the help you give.
I hope you did.
And it's
I
out
like
of
it.
your lack. It's out of your lack of that gives, and you give out of your lack. And guess what happened? People are like, you gave the most. Not because you had it, it's because you didn't have it and you still showed up. You still showed up. That will stand out. Like nobody cares if Bill Gates drops $1 million to an organization. He got $100 billion. It's when he shows up to the little thing and he rolls up his sleeves and he gets down and dirty with the rest of us. Then we're like, what? You know, showing up in spaces that people don't expect. I didn't expect anybody to volunteer. They didn't want to come to the courthouse. They didn't want to come and sit and be that advocate for that person because he was a lost cause or she was a lost cause and you showed up. No, I believe in this person. I want to work with this person. And then showing up, making a commitment to that show up. Not everybody can do that work. That's social work. That's a whole, you know, that's deep. People
Right.
don't want to do that. Once they count you out, they count you out.
Okay.
And you grew up around the 3-strike rule. You remember that law? Ooh,
Yes.
come on now. People are locked up in prison still to this day for that law.
It is. Yeah.
Man.
All right, so I'm gonna stop the recording. I want to thank you guys for joining us once again. This has been an amazing How to Land My Dream Job, Culture versus the Workplace. Again, thank you, Andrew Center,
Oh,
showing up and sharing with us.
thank you.
If you want to find out more, go to our NCRF, www.ncrfoundation.org website so you can find out more about our company, our organization, the nonprofit work we do in the spaces that we do in internship and careers and all our other programs. And we have another How to Land a Dream Job. Every time you see it, just click on it. Just you'll never know what you're going to learn and share with others. You can also follow us at NCR Foundation on all socials. At NCR Foundation on all socials. Again, my name is Mrs. Denise Parker. I am the Internships and Careers Director. And once again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.